As you growing up in New Zealand,
Yeah.
have you experienced racism in New Zealand?
Oh yeah, for sure. When I was 5 years old, so that was year one.
我可以用英文讲吗？
可以。
我中文有点讲不出来。
Okay.
I think China has a lot more grindy culture. What I mean by that is people work a lot harder in China to get to where they are, whereas for Australia,
What is it like living in China as a Chinese Australian or a Chinese New Zealand? Previously, I interviewed two Chinese German. What was it like growing up in Europe? So I'm very curious about what was it like growing up in this side of the world and what are some advantages of living in China. So let's get it started. Thank you very much for your time. Can you introduce yourself to the audience? Where are you from? How long have you been living in China?
My name is Harvey. I am Chinese from New Zealand. This is my 4th year in China. I reside in Guangzhou, which is the south of China. I was born in China in Guangdong, so I'm Guangdongyan. When I was 2-3 years old, the family and I, we immigrated to New Zealand.
我是张芷萱，我是来自澳大利亚墨尔本。我其实小时候是在国内出生的，然后在国内住到了9岁，然后去了澳洲。
As you growing up in New Zealand,
Yeah.
have you experienced racism in New Zealand?
Oh yeah, for sure. A very memorable story when I was 5 years old. So that was year one, the first year of primary. One morning, my mum dropped me off to school to my class, and there was my classmate was there. He was white, so New Zealand white guy, white boy at the time. And as soon as he saw my mum and I, he started making comments. You know can I say this? Ching chong, the slanty eyes and stuff, F you, F that. So I got really angry because first of all, like, that's racist. Number two, in front of my can I swear?
Not really.
Not really, yeah. In front of my mum, like, yo, like, disrespect. So then I told him to shut up, he wouldn't shut up. And then eventually I chased him out of the classroom. He sprinted all the way to the school front field. Eventually I caught up to him, I tripped him, and on the field, I got pretty violent. I was just slamming his head onto the field. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Got some grass, stuffed it in his mouth, and I was like, shut up, shut up. But yeah, it felt pretty good. That's what reminded me, that I'm different, and as such.
So ever since then, he never come after you?
Probably has, but then I gave him some stuff back as well.
在澳洲长大，有没有遭受过一些种族歧视的经历？
我自己没有，但是我有朋友会遭遇过那种样子的事情。但其实澳洲现在华人也挺多的，尤其是悉尼、墨尔本，觉得就是城市里大街上走的很多华人，也有很多 Chinatown 啊这种样子的地方。
在澳大利亚长大是什么样的感觉？
我觉得是一种非常放松、很松弛感很强的放养的感觉。就是小学的时候，我们比如说吧，每一周就会有1页的作业。
1页的作业？
对，
这么少？
就1页，然后一晚上就能做完，其余时间没有作业。放假也不会有这种寒假生活啊、暑假生活那种本子去写，放假没有作业的，就是很快乐的童年。
你觉得国内的教育跟澳洲教育区别在于哪方面？
我可以用英文讲吗？
可以。
我中文有点讲不出来。
Okay.
I think going to school in China trained me up to be more resilient. Like I was able to work a lot harder than what I would have been doing if I just went to primary school in Australia. For example, like I'd have pages of homework from year 3 and I'd be preparing for tests like every 3 months in a Chinese primary school. But in an Australian primary school, like in year 5, we were still learning the times table, like what's 9 times 9. That's something that you learn in kindergarten probably. So there's a big difference, but I was grateful that I got like a Chinese primary school education before I left.
Do you feel more competitive in China after you are trained in China?
Right now, no, because I think my Chinese is deteriorating a little bit. But maybe a couple of years down the line, I think it's a good thing to have like both the Chinese and also the Western perspective, so I can make better informed decisions and have better worldviews. Yeah.
As someone grew up in New Zealand and now living in China, what would you say the biggest difference between living in New Zealand and China?
Oh, straight up. So convenience, first of all. In China, you have like Meituan. So all these beautiful apps that are made in China by Chinese people, and it makes life that much more different. Cost of living in China is 4 to 5 times or even more cheaper than living in New Zealand. So one thing that I had to get used to when I came back to China was the metro, the subway system. So back in New Zealand, I'm from Auckland, which is the biggest city. But still, the biggest city is only 1.8 million people, okay? So it's very small in comparison to most cities in China. Therefore, there's no need for a subway. When I got back here, I had to get used to it. How does that work? How does this work? I had no idea how to ride the subway. Can you believe it? Apart from speaking Mandarin and Cantonese, I can read Chinese as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 所以就真的 navigating 对我来说很容易。
你可以用普通话跟粤语做一个自我介绍吗？
哎，大家好，我是 Harvey， 我是来自新西蘭嘅華人，然後這是我第4年在中國。大家好，我係 Harvey， 我係來自新西蘭嘅華人。咁白話咧係我個母語，因為我自細咧就講母語，但係由於我喺新西蘭長大咧，咁即係其實最常講嘅語言係英文。喺出邊咧就同人哋講英文，翻屋企咧就同阿媽屋企人講白話。同其他嘅海外華人咧就講普通話。
哇，好撚正宗啊！
係可以，係可以。
So last video I interviewed 2 Chinese who were born and raised in Germany and now living in China. A lot of people were commenting saying they were so amazed by the ability of they can speak fluent Chinese, English, and of course German. So a little fun fact here, I'm actually not native English speaker. My mother tongue is actually Mandarin, Cantonese, and Teochew. So if you are ABC or your kids is half Chinese and you want to learn Cantonese or Mandarin, I definitely recommend Canto to Mando School. Their online courses made for people who want to learn both Cantonese and Mandarin. Their whole system uses shortcuts like grammar bridging and tone conversations to help you turn the language you already know into fluent Mandarin. It is designed especially for here-to Cantonese speakers who can speak a little bit but cannot read or write Chinese. They even have a free masterclass called the Rapid Mandarin Fluency Masterclass for Cantonese speakers. So you can click the link in my description to have access now.
美团外卖，滴滴打车。Just like how easy it is to get around. If I wanted to go to like Beijing next week, I can just book a 高铁票 and I'll just be there. Whereas it's a lot harder to travel around cities. You have to take a plane from Melbourne to Sydney or you have to drive for 8 hours.
What are some pros and cons about living in China compared to Australia?
I think China has a lot more grindy culture. What I mean by that is people work a lot harder in China to get to where they are. Whereas for Australia, people are a lot more laid back, a lot more relaxed, a lot more chill in a sense. Like they're not too concerned about their futures or how much they should save. When people earn like a certain amount of money, they just go to a restaurant and they just spend it all. Whereas for China, I think people are a lot more careful about where they're putting their money these days. But yeah, both have its pros and cons, but that's the different vibes. Yeah.
What do you miss about Australia?
I miss about Australia, I miss the Melbourne coffees. Melbourne has really amazing coffee. I used to be a massive coffee drinker, but I quit that after coming to China.
No way!
Yeah,
Is it that bad?
Well, when I was at uni on exchange last semester, the only thing I had access to was 瑞幸咖啡. 然后瑞幸咖啡他们是咖啡机打出来的, so it's not that good. But Melbourne is known for its coffees, and I used to be like really reliant, like I have to have one every day, otherwise I'd get withdrawals. Yeah, so I just had a headache for a whole week, and then I got over it, and I just stopped drinking coffee from now.
You found any good coffee spot in Shanghai?
No, not yet.
Really?
Yeah, not yet.
So sad.
Yeah, I haven't found any.
Okay.
I've heard recommendations, but I haven't checked them out because I stopped drinking coffee.
How'd your parents react when you decide you want to move back to China?
Yeah, initially my parents, they were against it because they didn't think I had it in me to become Chinese again. 就是getting used to the life. They didn't think I could do it. And so I went against their wishes. And I thank God that I did, because these 4 years, they've been so valuable for me. It's really changed the way and how I think of the world, how I think of myself. And with this compass in me now, anything I do, it comes with a bit of confidence. So yeah, it's been valuable. And also, I met my girlfriend who's going to be my wife. So yeah, without me saying no to my parents, this wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have, gotten my life changed this way. So sometimes you just got to take chances, is what I got to say.
That's very cool. Thank you so much, Harvey. 你知道当时为什么家里人要搬去澳洲吗？
家里人当时其实是因为国内空气不太好，然后我和弟弟小时候经常生病，但是我不知道你可不可以播这个，可以吗？所以我们当时就是打算移民到澳洲，然后我当时我爸爸的妹妹，所以说我姑姑他们已经在布里斯班，所以我们就去了布里斯班。
Alright, thank you for watching. For next video, I interview 2 Chinese French. For me, the best part of interviewing AVC is actually the accent and their ability to speak multiple languages. I remember one answer was touched is that their parents actually brought them to visit China once a year so that they would get familiar with the culture here. So if you are interested in learning Cantonese or Mandarin, don't forget to check out the Canton to Mando school. I'll see you in the next video.